All right. This is for all our members in the Run Club and coached athletes. So I knew I had a video, and I think I do have a video of this at some point buried, but I found the PowerPoint, and this is something that has come up quite a bit. So I figured that we should talk about it, right? We should figure this figure this stuff out. So without further ado, let's just jump right into it and see where it takes us. All right. So the thing is, you kind of have to look at vacation in the same sense that you would if you were sick or injured or something like that, right? Where you do what you can. If you can't get the whole thing in, you back it down to something where you can get it in, right? And so, and same thing with if you're sick or injured, if you have to take, you know, in any, we're looking at it from a detraining standpoint, right? So if you take a week off, how much is that going to affect you, and how long is it going to take to get back, right? So, if in terms of vacation, you're probably a little better off, right? Because if you take a week off, you don't do anything, you're not injured, and a week isn't really enough to make a significant difference in your fitness level. You're just going to feel like crap a couple times when you come back, right? The first couple of days, you're not going to probably feel super easy. So, the way I kind of look at it is like, let's just do the bare minimum to stop any fitness loss. Like you would, I mean, we're talking like, 0.5%. You take a week off, it's like very minimal. But if we can make that 0% that you're losing and maybe even kind of still advance your fitness a little bit, let's take a look at what we can do, um, and keep the peace in the family, right? Because I know a lot of you are like, hey, man, my wife's going to just completely torch me if I have to go out for a long run on our vacation, or my husband's not going to put up with that. We're gonna, yeah, I get it, right? So I totally understand. Um, so let's look at like how you can get through it without sabotaging your training, right? So first thing is do something, right? Like I said, think about what it takes when you're doing nothing to detrain. Like we know that it's very minimal, and to come back is actually pretty short too. So like a week is in the big picture of a whole training segment. A week isn't a huge deal. It's less of a deal if it's early in the training. It's much more of a deal like if you were 5, 6 weeks out and all of a sudden you guys go take a week off and you're sitting on the beach all week. That's probably going to have more impact than with 16 weeks to go in your training, right? So it's all about where you're at as well. But we can do things to kind of keep the time frame short, as far as like if you wanted to get something in while on vacation, or and keep that fitness loss to a very, very minimum. So the first thing I would say is keep it short and intense if you can't put time in. So if you have 30 minutes and you got to get something in, and you have a treadmill, or it doesn't matter if you have a bike at the hotel, whatever they got, just hit it and hit it hard for 30 minutes. And that'll get your heart rate way up, it'll get your VO2 up, all that stuff. So if you can keep it short and intense, you're going to keep those upper levels of your fitness intact, and you're going to be in a much, much better position, right? So examples, I have short speed, like I was in Vegas a couple times for a conference, and had to get up early, obviously just because of the weather. And so I'd get up and I'd go at like 4:30 in the morning. It was still hot as hell. It was still like, you're like, oh, it's a dry heat. Like, it doesn't matter if it's 90 degrees, right? Like, it's hot. It's just hot. So I would run over to the UNLV track, actually. It was like a mile and a half away. And so I'd run over there. I just did short track workout and jog back, and I'd be back by 8 o'clock in the morning. But you could do something like that, or just if you're on the treadmill, just crank the grade up, make that intensity hard, right? Very minimum, just do 30 minutes easy. If you're 30 minutes is kind of that threshold for aerobic fitness, right? If you can just do a 30-minute run, along the beach, on the treadmill, in the hotel, whatever the case is, that's going to go a long ways in maintaining your fitness and not really derailing anything at that point. And even I would say even if you aren't in a time frame like, because right now it's, I get it right now. So I'm doing this. It's August 1st, and so I know a lot of you are in the same situation as me. So like my kids' swim season, just club swim, just ended last week. Um, and I know a lot of the softball and baseball little leagues are ending, just ended last week as well around us. So I know like all that stuff's kind of ending. So I know a lot of vacation time was kind of waiting until your kids were done, and then you're going to go on vacation before the school year started, right? So now it's like you have a few weeks, let's get it in now. But the problem is now you're getting to the point where you're going to be like 8, 10 weeks out from your marathon. Now training is getting pretty hardcore, right? So, if it's right now, it probably isn't going to have a huge impact, because if you were a little bit overtrained, you're kind of pushing a little too hard and you're starting to feel like you were in cumulative fatigue already. Well, this will kind of pull you back from the edge, and then you're gonna be fine, right? So the bottom line is like get something in, even if it's 30 minutes. And if you're gonna do a workout, you don't have to do. I mean, I'm not gonna tell you to do your 10-mile tempo or whatever the case is, but just make it short and fast, and just get that heart rate really high for about 30 minutes, and you're gonna be fine, right? Because at the end of the day, as long as we're maintaining and we're not losing, that's a better position to be in, right? Uh, I think the biggest thing is, so like even if you didn't run at all, you wouldn't lose that much fitness, and it wouldn't take, so if you took a week off, you'd lose that week, but you'd basically be like negative 0.5% of fitness. And if you did 30-minute run 3 times, you're basically back at zero, right? So you're at that baseline level. You haven't done anything to advance it, but you haven't lost anything either. And then the nice thing with that is when you come back from vacation, you can just jump right back into the training, especially if you've done some things, if you've done some runs or whatever on the vacation. You can just jump right back into the training and not worry about anything. Where the problem usually happens, at least for me, is that I can put weight on pretty quick, right? Like I can blow it out, right? I can need to go up a pant size in a couple weeks if I really wanted to, especially on vacation. So that's usually the biggest thing. So the thing I would say is still watch your caloric intake. And so here's the thing, where I know we talk a lot about nutrition and we were talking about under fueling and things like that. Well, here's the thing: if you're not doing much physical activity on vacation. Now, if you're going to Disneyland and I think they say the average person walks like 7 miles a day in the park, then you don't have to really necessarily worry about anything, because you're gonna be putting a million steps in. You can eat whatever you want. You're gonna be hungry. That's gonna be the thing. But if you're like on the beach all day, and you're not doing a whole lot, and then you're only running a fraction of what you were, you've got to be careful on that caloric intake, right? So I'd be really sensible with your breakfast and lunch. And then if you have a big dinner, your big nice dinner at your restaurants or whatever the case is, that's when you can have it and you can still be okay, right? But you don't want to get back from vacation and all of a sudden be 10 pounds heavier, right? If you're already at a healthy weight. Some of you might actually benefit you, but assuming that everything is okay and you're at a weight you should be, and then all of a sudden you put on, 5 pounds of fat over vacation, that's not good, right? That's, at 2 seconds a mile, uh, times 5 pounds, it's, you're talking 12 seconds a mile you're losing right there, right? So we've got to be careful. And while fitness is going to come back quick, it's going to take a while to lose that 5 pounds, right? So we don't want to be in that situation, because we don't want to get back to training and then have to starve ourselves to get back to the weight we were at 2 weeks ago, right? That's not a situation we want to be in. So that's what I would say, be really careful. And so watch your caloric intake, stay hydrated, especially if you're on, you're in well, it's summer, but then if you're, even in a hotter place, you've really got to be careful. You've really got to be putting down a ton of fluid. And I'm not talking about Mai Tais and margaritas, right? I'm talking about actual hydrating fluids. And then, the thing is too, like your activities, vacations based or adventure based. So I have athletes right now, they're going on vacation, but they're going to hike in the mountains, right? So they might not be doing much running, but they're still going to be putting in a ton of exercise based, activities, right? And so they're not going to be as bad off as somebody just laying on the beach from a fitness standpoint. So you've got to weigh those things too. So at the end of the day, speed segment is probably the best time, but obviously that's not going to work for a lot of people. just remember that less stimulus is needed to maintain fitness. You don't be in a position where like, man, I can't get my workout in, so I'm just not gonna do anything. Something is gonna be better than nothing, right? I don't even care if you're doing planks and push-ups and air squats in your hotel room. Something, right? Like just do something. Short, easy runs can be plenty to stop the loss of aerobic abilities. And a lot of this isn't necessarily to advance our fitness on vacation. It's more about, okay, let's minimize the loss, but then also make it so that we can get home from vacation and jump right back into training. And there's no adjustment period for that. Like if I took a week off and I was supposed to get home on Sunday, but I had a speed workout on Tuesday, well, now I probably can't do that speed workout on Tuesday because I haven't done anything in 7 days, right? So I've got to probably take 3 days of just running easy to get my legs back underneath me, and then I can do maybe a workout, but that's probably got to be modified. So it's like another week before I'm actually fully back to schedule, where if I did, a couple easy runs, or I hit the treadmill hard for one day, and I was able to do some things on my vacation, then I can jump right back in. If I get home Sunday night, I can jump right back into my schedule on Monday morning, right? And that's really about where I want you to be. And then you can feel less guilty about missing serious marathon training too, right? So that's kind of where we're at with this. And like I said, if you're nonstop training, like if you jumped in from like, say you did, a marathon in the spring, and then you did a big base plan or a speed plan, and then July rolled around and you started a marathon plan, and you haven't really had a break in months, this might actually be a good thing for you. So scaling everything way back might actually be a good thing and actually help you and actually propel you more forward, pull you back from that edge a little bit, save you from getting burnout, save you from getting injured, something like that. And you come back, you're fresh, you feel good. We can just hit that last 8-10 weeks of training and really advance our fitness. Yeah, I think the biggest thing is just knowing now that like you can do a little bit and it's going to go a long ways will help, relieve some of those feelings of guilt people get, like, oh, I should be doing this and that. Yeah, you could be, but having some downtime with our family is really good too, right? And if we can just if we have to wake up at 5:30 and do a run at 6 and be done so that I can take my kids down to the breakfast buffet at 8 o'clock, I'm willing to do that, right? And I don't have to feel guilty the rest of my day, right? I don't have to feel guilty about missing things with my family, and I don't have to feel guilty about not getting anything in, right? So you can kill two birds with one stone by just doing a little bit, if that's all that's allowed you. And some people, they don't have a problem, right? Like, you might just be going on vacation, you don't have kids or nothing like that, and you have a couple hours, it's not a big deal. But in that case, I guess what I would say, if you have to get one thing in, get the most race specific thing in, right? So say you're starting into the strength segment of the marathon plan, and you are in a position where you're 8 weeks out, you're doing maybe like a 6x1, an 8-mile tempo, and a long run. You're like, man, I can't do all three of those things. I could probably do, if I could, I have time. One day where I can do one of those things. I can have like a 2 to 3 hour block. You know what I would do is I would just do my long run, and I would do my tempo in the middle. Something like, if you just saw my last podcast where I talked about breaking up the marathon tempo into like a 6x1, 8x1, whatever the case is, I would do something like that and just make sure my warm up and cool down were long enough to get me my miles for my long run. And I did the most race specific thing. I got the one big volume thing in for the week. And then if I just run 30 minutes, maybe 1 or 2 more times during my vacation, boom, I'm good. But whatever you're doing, do what's most race specific for you so that you can feel comfortable with, okay, I got my marathon pace workout in, okay, I'm good, right? And I got a longer run or something like that, right? So that's what I would do. If you have 2 days, where you could do something, and maybe I can't do my full 10 mile, say I got an 8-mile tempo, but man, I'm really only gonna have time for like 4 or 5 miles at marathon pace. Okay, just do 4 or 5 miles at marathon pace. And then if you have a long run and you're able to get that long run in, or if I say I'm only going to really have like 90 minutes to do on another day. Okay, just do 90 minutes, call that your long run for the week. Just modifying those things back a little bit is still going to put you in a very good position when you come back. Because like I said, you'll be able to just come back from vacation, jump right into your training the next day, right? So hopefully that helps you. Like, you can go on vacation. I urge you to go on vacation. There's a lot of ways you can do it. Don't think that you have to try to fit everything in. Don't feel guilty you can't fit everything in. For a lot of you, having that little break is probably a good thing for you. And if you can just supplement your week with some activity during the week, then you're going to be in a very, very good position. So hopefully that helps you. Hopefully that makes you feel less guilty about missing training. It'll be fine. It'll be okay. And you'll be able to move forward past it and not have to really adjust anything at all. So, all right, hopefully that helps. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.